What's good, everybody? Welcome to Whole Views. Thank you for clicking that thumbnail. My name is Corey, and today we're going to talk about the perfection that is Dune Part 2. So, listen, I'm going to go through the normal thing that I normally do. I'm going to do the likes, I'm going to do the dislikes, and I'm going to give you my overall thoughts. Use the chapters in the description if you choose to do so, and let's get to it. Spoiler alert, the dislike section is really small. Talking about the things we like. I liked the entire film. The runtime is something that you would think I would be negative on at 2 hours and I believe 45 minutes. I loved it all. There's nothing in this movie that can be cut. I loved all the performances. Rebecca Ferguson had moments that stood out in my mind. Timothy Chalamet as Paul Atreides had moments that stood out in my mind. Josh Brolin had a super awesome action scene toward the end, and when his character shows up, it just feels so good to see him reconnect and be the same character that he was in the previous film. I absolutely loved Javier Bardem and all his screaming about Liasan Gaib and all that. It was great, and I'm gonna expound on that and what that meant to me later on. I even like Zendaya because she actually went on a journey as a character because she does not start out in love with Paul Atreides, and then that grows and then that fades, and it's so awesome that she did all that in the span of a little bit less than 3 hours. So I was impressed with what we got from all the cast members, even Skarsgård, even Butler, and the only person that I would say I didn't like the character and the arc that the character went on was Dave Bautista. Not that I disliked him, but it's just like I thought I would get much better and much more from him in this. And I feel like he kind of got the short end of the stick. The cinematography, the action, all of that was really, really good. The special effects, the sound design, like you could really tell the difference between when they were on an area where they couldn't call the worms, and then when they got onto an area where those little thumpers would actually work, it felt good. You can see all the things that they put into making this thing great. Everything about it was good. The drama, fantasy of having these different houses that do different things and specialize in different areas. All that stuff really made a lot of sense. And even bringing in Christopher Walken as the Emperor, and it just was so good. I enjoyed everything that they gave us in this. Let's talk about the dislikes. I don't really have any because I talked about the runtime, but I also dismissed that in the idea that there's nothing that I can cut when I watch the movie and think like, maybe we can get rid of this or get rid of that. No, every scene had a purpose. Every character and every line pretty much served a purpose. And so I don't see a place to cut. So that takes that all the way out. And another reason why I don't really have many complaints, because in a film that's this long, my normal go-to complaint or criticism would be pace. Like, hey, if you want to pace this thing differently and make it feel less long, but like it didn't necessarily feel like 3 hours was just dragging. Things were happening that needed to happen to move the story along the entire time. And so I feel very strongly that this movie really doesn't have any flaws. Flaws, I don't feel like it has, but does it have room for improvement? There's one area that as I watched the movie, I thought, the only way this could be elevated is by a little bit different camera work. Now, trust, this is not a criticism. This is just me as a person who watched film, and I watched the crispness of all the fighting scenes when you had the knives and you had Austin Butler doing this thing with the knife, and you had Timothy Chalamet and Austin Butler at the end going at it with the knives. And my only thought was, if they really wanted to make this thing even more impressive than it already is, you would give me a one shot right here. You would do the whole thing in one take. You would do it to where everybody was in the room, but you still had cameras that could move around the action instead of making cuts. That would have been next level. That's the only thing that I could have saw, that I can think of that could have been improved upon. And it's not a criticism, it's just like, hey, if you wanted to do it differently, there's one area where you could have done it differently. That's really it. I think also too is Josh Brolin's super awesome action scene towards the end where he's like running through a crowd of and just taking people out so he can get to the Dave Batista character, and it's like, yo, if we did that a little bit more like a wide shot, seeing him really tearing people apart to get to Dave Batista. It's like, yo, that would have been great if we'd have did that in a one shot too. But outside of that, there's not many areas where you can improve this film. This was a well made piece of art. I do want to take a minute though and talk about Javier Bardem and the jokes that have been flying online about Liasan Gaib and how every time Paul did anything, he was like, "It was written," and he was so hyped. The way I always try to include my faith in things that I talk about on camera, and so I watched this movie and I knew these jokes, but I didn't get the context because I saw little clips on Twitter of how he's like he was like, "Son, go ahead," like just going crazy with it. And I didn't know the context. And so when I'm watching the movie, it did make it funnier to watch him just spin every move that Paul Atreides made into prophecy. But I thought about it like this. I said, if I was alive at the time of Jesus and like I had read the previous scriptures and I knew that Jesus was coming, and then I'm seeing Jesus actually fulfill prophecy day after day, night after night, each time we do anything, like I'm seeing, okay, this was written here and now he's doing it here. I would be hyped too. I would be like, Jesus. And that, so as I watched him scream, Lisa, like just get hyped, my thought was just, he's basically a Christian person being present at the time of Jesus, seeing it happen and just saying, Jesus, like, glory to God. Like that's how I took it. And it made him seem like a old black lady. Just glory to God. And it was fun. It made everything fun. The moment at the end where he really does it, it's like the fight ends and he's the first reaction. It's like, yeah, yeah, I just it made it extra funny to me because I was thinking about it in those terms of just somebody screaming, cheering for Jesus or glory to God in the moment. I could see people I know doing that. I could see myself doing that because you've been so attached to this prophecy and this religion, this faith for so long, and now you're seeing it all come together, and you just can't contain yourself. And so I liked it. I thought that was a great thing, and I'm so glad that the entire internet seemed to pick up on it and make fun of it in those moments. It was really good stuff. I have a friend of mine who said like I still haven't seen Dune 2 yet. At the current time of me filming right now, it's been out for 3 weekends now, and so my friend was saying like, yeah, I still haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna go check it out once the hype now is down. And I'm like, yo, there's no reason that the hype will ever die down because this lives up to the hype. This is as advertised. It's a super awesome action sci-fi film, and I can't see it being done any better. It's perfect on my scale, 10 out of 10. Wouldn't change a thing about it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section. And that's all we got for this one, y'all. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, go watch something good.